Hello, my friends. It's time for max stats again. And I will play it at 1.5 speed. Because I might want to cram something in there. Or apparently there's just infinite things to be concerned about. One of which is positivity. And this one is crazy. Just like capitalism in this 4x4 improvement matrix. Positivity is literally energy you're trying to hold on to and not lose yourself into negativity. You're trying to focus on positive things, embrace positive things, help those positive things make changes in your life. It was a positive. Positivity is technically distance away from stress and how close you are to progress in your life. How can you achieve progress every single day? The thing that I bought a 3D printer. However, I don't know exactly what to use it for. Sometimes it's positive just to know that you can have alternative solution to something, that you have additional toy for you to spend time on in case you have extra time. Well, you can always come up with a cool idea and you will be able to execute it. It's a positive thing to have something, just in case you need it. After all, it's even more positive if you're the one having it while everyone else has to use yours. People come as a guest to play with your console, to have cool experiences that you can provide. Those were the good days. I don't have them anymore. But well, since I had them, the funny thing about positivity and memories is you can kind of relive and imagine that it could happen again. First step of it's not that complicated improvements. It is time. After I bought 3D printer, I got overwhelming emotion of like, wow, it's not only just me that's special now, and I do know how to use this thing, but I could help other people find unique solutions to their problems. Now, I still need higher level when it comes to knowing how to use this and what kind of problems I can solve. Again, it would be nice to organize every single item that I have laying around just with a little bit of plastic and duct tape, right? And all of a sudden now we're dealing with engineering, something I've never thought I would be doing, but here we are. It's just that easy. You have something that gives you plastic parts to build things. There's not a lot of problems I have to solve, but you never know when you're creative. Management. And the first, and time management is a big ass deal. So that's nice. Just have that thing, just hone skills, just put yourself in a path of progress, and you will achieve positivity. It's a tale as old as this goddamn series of videos telling you to just improve and you'll be fine. But there's so many aspects, and positivity kind of touches a lot of interesting things. The thing that's positive about time management is being able to squeeze time. You can do that all the time. You can achieve positivity through progress, and progress through time management. This is how you know that you're improving by being able to squeeze what you're already doing into more efficiency. And then using that extra time to do something special, I guess. Now, I haven't actually decided what that should be. I'm not that balls deep into the self-improvement thing. We're just still accelerating. Seems to be like the most complicated thing to pull off. Meaning that you also need a routine as well. A routine that's not boring. To be able to do things more and more efficiently. Remember capitalism? Capitalism does not want you to work 9 to 5. That's the stupidest thing, but you have to have a routine, and someone is willing to give it to you. The reality is, capitalism wants you to just make people happy, take their money, move on with your life. Capitalism's supposed to be about sharing money based on the work that you did or services that you provide to other people, and we should liberate ourselves. We worry way too much. We're so frozen in place, but that's not a positivity issue, unfortunately. This is a much deeper issue. I will start talking about it in South Korean video, all right? Because we're talking about K-pop drama after all. Because every skill that you have can be improved ever so slightly. And then double check that yes, you have improved. You are more confident with the said thing, or you have the said thing in the first place. Or you've said there's literally a whole video describing South Korea as a failing country because they are losing population rapidly. And that's just the consequence of capitalism. Capitalism burns morality really fast. Things up so you can use the said thing anytime you need one. Without morality, you're not gonna have children. Yes, the easiest way to generate positivity is through progress, seeing progress. Positivity essentially transforms into self-esteem as long as you have a streak of positivity, as long as you have nothing bothering you, and you have less fears because things are less bothering you. Being the force behind progress. Making good changes in life is gonna lead you to more positivity. And guess what happens during the apocalypse? Even bad things happening, like now that I will talk about apocalypse, even bad things happening can have a positive effect to certain people. Now you have to be able to understand the situation that you're in. There's the positive and negative aspects of everything. And these things are described through attributes, right? If I go shopping, I can buy this and that and this, but I will lose energy, right? There's going to be a positive thing that's happening and a negative thing that's happening. And you have to make sure that the negative thing has lesser value over positive thing. That whatever you're doing has positivity. That is the principle of this whole video, my friends. Positivity becomes one of those rare resources that you need to survive. It kind of becomes this force of good versus evil. One of the things that I am telling myself right now, and across the story of positivity, of how positivity shapes me as a person, I sort of allow myself to push back problems for later. And I don't know if it's a good thing, but it's where you can spend positivity, right? Because I don't really have a courage. I am not really surrounded by good people. Like it's a demanding environment. Positivity is a resource that you need to hold on for your dear life during the apocalypse because you realize that you're surrounded by enemies, basically. You are surrounded by people who want to hurt you. But obviously, anytime someone attempts to do something bad, well, they have to make their own sacrifices too. In a way, if you're learning life, there's positivity in everything that happens. Even a house burning down can be a positive experience if you so build it that way. You have to rebuild your perspective to make it positive. Not in a way that it would happen again, because that's a negative experience, but that you have survived and you have a clear mind and a clear path forward. That no one's going to stop you anyways. House burned down? Not going to stop me. Life is tough right now, and people, they are struggling in many ways. The positivity that I'm holding on to, and the reason why I push back the problems, because I see the future. Yeah, we had wildfires. Wildfires just changed the game a little bit. Any trend that's happening right now during the apocalypse is an insight. Unfortunately, you're not supposed to participate. A lot of things that are happening in the apocalypse are bad, but you still get to step aside and learn from the experiences that are happening. The future cannot look the same way that this is happening right now. Yes, we have technology, but the technology is useless in helping us. The future should be where technology is finally useful. Finally, right? It has the breakthrough effect. A lot of people are holding on to the capitalism, and I feel that capitalism meant to collapse, and not in a way that we think, not in a way that, we have Great Recession. We potentially have something else entirely. The positivity sometimes comes from the unknown source. People say have faith, and I say don't believe in history too much, because as much as history wants to repeat itself, it cannot possibly do that. Too much progress has been made for history to just merely repeat itself. That cannot possibly happen. In fact, we saw that war is a contained situation. War only happens between men, first and foremost, and usually some men are caught. History repeating itself is a negative thing. Why would you expect a negative thing to happen when we already made so much progress? We have made so many inventions and breakthroughs. Why would you expect history to repeat itself? It does not. Russia tried to muddy the waters, and now they're being fucking bullied back by themselves, slamming their head into a fucking wall, these Russians. They can't break through. They cannot spread their disease of war anymore. first, and some men have to defend themselves. Like, it's a very tricky situation. As much as Putin likes attaching himself to history, he cannot repeat it. Nope. Situation. Only because of the power of technology, we have been able to contain the war as a definition and not spread into world war. No more. We don't have to anymore. Progress is progress. Progress on all fronts should be happening for positivity to, stay intact. And even if we lose something, we probably lost a thing that couldn't fucking keep up with our demand of more positivity or more progress. Yeah. When you improve yourself, the funny thing will happen, unfortunately. And the funny thing I want myself to happen too. My life has to change the same way. You might shed your reality. It might change to something else entirely. It's a aim for success. Aim to inject yourself with so much positivity that you know you're gonna succeed. There's no other way. To the point where you take the obvious advice of everyone calls you crazy until you make it. But then that's just the natural progress of doing crazy things. Until one of those crazy things does break through. But you have to do time management. You actually have to really squeeze your life for any second you can spend doing this breakthrough that you're supposed to achieve. And I say that to myself, right? Any time you can spend time on a breakthrough generation, because that can happen in any way. Like breakthrough getting a job, breakthrough getting a girlfriend. Those are breakthroughs. Breakthrough in learning the skill greater and greater. Unfortunately, these are not easy transitions to make. They happen to be breakthroughs. You have to leave someone behind and focus on someone else, and you focus so hard until it happens. The magic happens. Of any kind, again, bad or good, because you put effort, because you're the good guy, whatever the outcome is good, is revealing, is deserved outcome, because you did the best you can. Greater isn't really a breakthrough until you have a specific goal in mind. Because breakthrough usually means success that is looked at by other people and they approve of your success. That's a breakthrough. Like, even though I have the fastest in the world sorting method, basically, nobody cares, okay? No one thinks that's a breakthrough anymore. That shit's outdated in people's minds. Like, they don't care. Or they have zero capacity to care. Or there's no platform to be able to promote such an idea. Meaning that the breakthrough was not happening yet. That I can still improve something. And you can always improve something. I did not make the sorting system just for the hell of it. And well, it was looked at as a breakthrough. People did click on it and criticize it for no fucking reason. Although it does, ingrain like a fucking tattoo in your brain of like, wow, people really fucking annoyed me on this one. But yeah, I can continue. Basically, I mean, people kind of like want to do that. At least Americans, they want you to become famous of like for real, but you have to grind the shit out of whatever you're doing until it's perfected. It has been repeated thousands of times. This video like squeezed into like really tight package where everything is explained very precisely in many different shapes and forms, whatever people care about. In a way, when you feel like you have a breakthrough, you have to turn that into another breakthrough of promoting it basically to other people, selling that until that breaks through as well. Now, for me personally, why I am on YouTube in the first place is because I'm so shy. I want to do everything online. I want to just be a guy online. Calling that insult culture is a little bit outrageous at this point. We're past that, right? Now, the only thing that you can do to... Yeah, insult culture. Oh, insult culture. Never mind. Although we have insult culture, mostly, and that would make you an insult, too. We actually transition from this. Insults don't really gonna exist because there's so many OnlyFans girls. Like, even Upper Echelon released a video of, like, Only Harm, where, 2-3% of people in the US are OnlyFans models, and it's like, what the fuck? The stats are insane. So you cannot possibly be an incel when there's already, like, a majority of population choosing a career to feed you content. It's like, that's not an insult. It was an insult when you were just looking at porn stars who happened to be pretty nasty. Like, this guy discovered something interesting, but at the same time, it's like, yeah. Literally, porn stars did not try to appeal to internet nerds this whole time. Who would have thought, right? Who maintain the incel mentality is that, well, there's still porn out there. It's still old school. So something that was negative, basically an incel label, is literally unapplicable unless you go back into the past and you still praise the porn stars of the past, of the way things were done in the past. Now we want things to leak on the internet. Cool behavior. Now, we want to find porn stars on the Instagram doing things and pretending to be normal people. The metagame has changed, guys. There. If you go back in time, you can still be an incel if you really want to. But right now, if you're into programming and you really care about the AI stuff, you hold the power. The positivity is in your hands. You cannot be tainted. Your name cannot be shamed. Your behavior cannot be shamed. For you are holding on to a breakthrough. You're going to be a part of it, right? The world is going to change after the apocalypse. Everything will fall into place. People are just holding on to the old beliefs. They don't want to let go. They want to... Discord trend happened where you could get one of these touch grass bullshit things. Is touching grass a positive thing? Not for everyone. Not if you're lonely. Not if you're just being bullied to go outside. Because it's not working out for you here. Because you're surrounded by bullies, you know. Who will just tell you what to do. Unfortunately, it's not that simple, is it? You have to go outside for a reason, not just to touch grass. It's just so fucking weird. Positivity is about logic, deduction of if something is meaningful or not. If something is worth pursuing, force right now, and it's kind of like coming to clarity of what's going on. That people are fucking toxic, and they don't understand what's so toxic about them. You know, they do progress, but they also do destruction at the same time, meaning that they're net neutral. Carbon neutral, basically. But we're talking about carbon. It's like, what the fuck? Planet? Planet will never be destroyed by climate. That's not what planet gets destroyed by. Planet gets destroyed by negligence and people being really annoying. Or actually destructive, more destructive than they're, you know, useful. This is why I started this anti-rat campaign of like, there's probably people who are not useful for this platform. Unfortunately, right? Again, you can find it by them being negative. Sometimes they just want to cause drama, whatever. Or their content stinks. More of the content stings than doesn't. That happens to be negative. So I'm hunting down rats who happen to fall into these categories of I can talk about them as if they're negative. Like, this is drama. This is views, guys. I have to pursue that. Because that is the game on this platform. Regardless. And you have to weed out these people. You always, well, would want to know if a person that you hold in your relationship circle is more useful than destructive. You need to know that. To calculate that is very difficult. But you can just keep track of the positives versus the negatives, right? Create a list of that thing. And even though I don't have that in particular, I only hold values, hold a big-ass number on top of someone, usually the negativity will drag people down. They will not be able to succeed in terms of influence. So I'm able to relatively see who's a positive influence on the platform. I mean, in Discord, I was asked of, like, what is a good person and what is a bad person? And the funny thing is about bad people is that they do a bad thing, and they do more bad things to try and cover up that other bad thing they did. Which should, in most situations, it should actually incriminate them even more. Almost to the point of no return. You should not give them the benefit of the doubt anymore. You should give them chances to redeem themselves at any given time. Like, a millionaire suddenly is like, oh, I have to apologize. I have to give people what they want or whatever. If you can change hearts, which is a big fucking deal, if you can change someone's heart, everything changes. Like, the greatest positivity is that anything can change at any moment. Anything can change for the better really quickly. The moment only really powerful positive influences. Now, don't mistaken this for hopes and dreams. Alright? Things can change for the better. You can be positive in general. But don't hope and dream for things to do that. They just can. They should. And you should provoke that to happen. You know, as much as possible. Poke the bear. Or poke the unicorn, rather. Are in place. The moment the field is clean of all the rats and all the distractions, then people know what to also use as an example of certain type of behavior. Like, things would get better so quickly. The scary thing is not the apocalypse, because it's it's generic to be scared of the apocalypse. It's very generic. The scary thing for everyone is when things start changing, because right now nothing's changing. Things are just dying. You know, nothing is changing, which is so annoying. It's just like the things are amplifying and they're dying because they are getting exposure. They're getting the reality check of what's actually going on, how much actual corruption has been accumulated, how much negligence has been accumulated, and how everything's just collapsing. Because we're living in the wrong set of rules right now. But we need to know exactly how bad it can get. But at the same time, even the apocalypse is full of positivity, right? We survived the COVID, we survived the war, we are surviving everything that the world seems to throw at us, as long as you're a tough fighter. Some people did not survive the virus. Some people even got hit really badly by the blue screen of death. You know, maybe something really bad happened to some people because of the blue screen of death. Maybe some fucking house of cards collapsed because of that. You don't really know, but you can only have a sense that something really bad happened for a lot of people who were hoping that nothing could possibly go wrong. That purge could not happen. Matchpad Purge will never leave YouTube. Yeah, yeah. Most of the changes right is death, right? Like Matchpad leaving YouTube was death of a specific concept that helped us expose the platform for what it was. That these theories created a nagging need to turn games and movies into something really scary and stupid. I want to see film theory and whatever. Of course, it's trying to. It has not changed a bit. Wow. I mean, whoa. You're talking effects. What do you mean the worst? Good be the umbrella holding it together as if like everything is good. No, it collapsed. He had to quit to show that there's the bad channels and the good channels. Inspiring this. I'm talking why MatPat's quitting is a positive effect overall. Suit against horror in general. I thought it's gonna be a negative, but we all knew that MatPat just like reading a script. He's not too committed into his art thing is, and then horror inspired to look for more rats of all kinds. And now we found like plenty of types of rats that could create a whole new drama. Basically, dominoes keep falling. You must not underestimate the power of positivity. Oh yeah, oh yeah. One positive day leads to another and another. It's so important to actually start the chain of positive. I've already said the chain of good things is something you should strive for to make things stable in your life so things cannot fall apart. Don't let a good thing go to waste. And hopefully you see it as good. Because if you see something that is good, like you have a unique perspective, you have a unique grip on something that's happening right now. See, like most people wouldn't know why it's good that MatPat left the chat, you know? But there's always that little bit of reasoning that can blow your mind. When you just ask a simple question of like, wasn't this a good thing? You know, like you just ask, wasn't there anything positive? And all of a sudden, like, wow, maybe that was a strategic move. Maybe there was a lot of pressure tearing apart a good person that was feeding too much credibility and reputation to something that was bad. I mean, Sniper Wolf drama was a good thing happening. Like, it brings more awareness to all sorts of things. With a happy ending, absolutely. Except, there's a problem, right? Everything is dying, so people's perspective has been twisted in a whole wrong way. While I was able to grow, while I was able to hang on to positivity, other people have been robbed and have been misled. This is why it's such a fucking warfare right now. The funny thing is, everyone can be a winner. No one has to be a loser. But we have to set things up in the most elegant way. We have to have the most beautiful rules that everyone can agree on. You know? And why positivity is so important. Like, most importantly for sanity's sake. To achieve positivity, you have to remove confusion. A lot of the time I spend just being confused. Even if you escape boredom, it doesn't mean that you will know exactly what to do throughout the day. And I probably will end up creating a very strict plan of what I want to do. I'm not sure if it's gonna work. It's gonna be another Max Stats episode to try and test the idea or tell you what the results were. testing it, but like really strict schedule so I can start feeling the time management. Like one positive principle can unlock other positive principles. And you can start stacking yourself like some kind of character that's unlocking skills to just go on and sacrifice yourself for something stupid, right? For something negative, because negativity will eat you alive. I'm not saying it's easy to do positive things either, especially when you can't trust other people. It's absolutely difficult to make sure that the positivity actually gets a proper impact, gets a fair treatment. You just can't smile to every single person, unfortunately. You cannot just be the happiest person without having your guards up, without knowing that you can, in fact, defeat anyone offended by your smile or whatever. Because negative people are all over the place, and they're going to be triggered. They're going to be annoyed. You know, they're going to be picky. My guards were always up, and I needed to grow, you know, somewhere. But yeah, the world is suffering through a bunch of anomalies. Well, it doesn't happen very often. Well, actually, it does. You can make mistakes. But the biggest mistake is usually giving up. Uh-huh. The biggest negativity is giving up to the enemy, or to the bad habit, or just not caring. That is usually the only negativity that exists that happens to spread and destroy people's lives. Giving up is what kills people. This is the inspiration for max stats in general, like obviously. Progress versus giving up. I found these ones very interesting things.
Are y'all seeing it now? Do y'all get it now?
The colors back in the day, guys, turned into nothing. Where did colors go? Because people want privacy now. But now that they have privacy, they don't really have much to show. They don't want to stand out. They're scared, you know? It's a very unique puzzle to solve. Of like, now that people have privacy, why are they bleak? Why are they just waiting for someone else to become colorful, so to speak? And what's going to happen to that person who's going to stand out? Who's going to get more attention? Are bad things going to happen, or more positive things going to happen? And funny enough, the puzzle is solved by understanding that most people think negative things will happen if they stand out. But if you hold positivity, I mean, to hold privacy, you have to blend in. People appreciate privacy, but in a very self-destructive way. If you have, I would say, positive attitude and understand that, or have ability to seek positivity in certain situations and look at things positively, you wouldn't be afraid. At very least, you would not be afraid to stand out. You would be able to find that unique solution. You were not going to be afraid and stressed doing what you have to do, which is one of the more important traits, is to achieve greater improvement of yourself. Maybe getting attention is going to be an improvement. Maybe it's going to be positive. You know, seek positivity and you will find yourself doing amazing things. Especially in capitalism, to stand out, because you might deserve money eventually, right? You might deserve success eventually. At start, you're gonna do it because you want to. You're just curious, right? You want to see if it's gonna lead to something positive. And every single time, you gotta calculate. Did I get a positive result or negative result? You test something, see, and then you report it to other people. It's a wonderful world of science we're talking about. Positivity, light switch, because you're still different than other people, and people haven't tried to give you success. What would happen? So all of these puzzles, all of these unusual things happening, when people had, you know, freedom to push each other around and like express themselves, now they fear. And fear and negativity rips all of the interesting aspects of. Another thing I can try is I can try to create two boxes, right? Two containers. Something positive happens and something negative happens. So like, okay. Today I have improved my room a bit more. How about that? But negative is I have to wear a shirt now. It's hot. Or like my teeth make me uncomfortable. Can be as simple as I made a video today, alright? It would be negative if I couldn't be able to do that, people. And it's all it takes, effort.
And I don't think you guys are ready to have the
Maximum amount of effort it takes to make a video. for me, because I have to put it all in.
Conversation about being so
Go
poor
all
that you
in,
literally
boys.
couldn't afford to get to an on-site job interview if you got one. 2.5.
Well, someone is on a downward cycle of just like, don't know what the fuck to do. It's the apocalypse, my friends. People are obviously incapable of finding jobs. Start like, you're obviously lying. You couldn't scrub toilets? How is everyone paying their bills? The most important takeaway is that it's someone else's sorrow, it's not yours. It's not mine. I am perfectly fine. Doing my little crime? Yeah, maybe they deserve it. And maybe they will find out why they deserve the things that they deserve. It's a very interesting situation going on. People are getting deeper and deeper into crisis, and there's not enough jobs to actually save them from the crisis. It is just such a twisted apocalypse, isn't it? Or at least something that was deemed as a crime. And now I sit here comfortably, continue on. No one seems to be worried about that at all. And it's like, okay, cool. I'll continue sitting on my ass and doing nothing. If that's. I'm doing nothing. Apocalypse is treating me fine. I get to sit in the back row and just enjoy the show, basically. How do you like it? It's corruption. I'm sitting on the other edge of corruption of like benefits, right? But, okay. I mean, have it your way. Because it benefits me to some extent, for the most part. Well, I get to see everyone else struggling and be like, wow. Oh no, it benefits me tremendously seeing other people struggle and I don't have to struggle. That's a blessing. I'll take that, you know? At least I don't have to struggle the same fucking way where you're being pushed around and not given the goddamn thing you need. And apparently it's competitive to get a shitty job. Holy shit. It can be, however, also, a fucked up perception. Because the more unique your positioning and the more you want to apply across the internet, not just like knock on doors and ask what jobs people have, what they can offer. That's what capitalism is all about. Like most people actually don't understand the definition of capitalism. They think the internet somehow is going to save their ass. And no, the internet is not giving me money. It's not giving me a girlfriend. It's giving me a fucking jack shit middle finger when it comes to those normal things that the capitalism actually provides. And we live in capitalism. We should know that. Internet is not capitalism. That's why incel thing has been floating around for a very long time because you're not going to get anywhere unless you magically earn a lot of money through that internet thing. And it's not that easy to do. Funny enough, I never had to suffer through it. And again, I will always be positive about it, not be like, wow, I should have get hurt. Like, no, like, life is never supposed to be that way in the first place. It is so distorted right now, and you should never ask other people to suffer just because you're suffering. You shouldn't really seek other people suffering the same way you're suffering. Although I would want other people to acknowledge that there's noise everywhere, and maybe we can solve this problem. If people are not actually acknowledging problems, that is insane. That is so annoying. Like, people are going to be negative and annoying by not acknowledging problems. Because you know the problem is going to just continue progressing. It's like not acknowledging your own illness or bad habits, right? Be aware of problems. If people acknowledge problems, I wouldn't feel lonely and jobless. I mean, for fuck's sake. Because acknowledging problems is one thing, then you have to actually share it with other people. You have to seek other people to share with, whoever cares about your goddamn problems. Like, this is a whole process. A lot of work has to be put into this. And instead, problems getting progressively worse, and, well, if you're a good capitalist, you'll solve it for them in the weirdest way. But don't let. Just do OnlyFans. Them consume. Oh, I love that. I think that's important. This episode, by the way, somewhat inspired by one dude that seems to reply to everything that I sent to him. I'm probably not going to highlight him, but it raised an interesting question of like, is suffering internal or external? Does it come from outside, or you have control over how much you suffer? And he decided that it's the stories that you tell yourself that makes you suffer. Unfortunately, it's not that simple, right? My response was like, dude, you're American. You don't suffer because the difficulty of life in America is trash. It's like constantly complaining about first world problems and pretending that you're suffering. You're not really suffering, bro. Just like technically second world problems. Also, not as crazy as fifth worlds. And there's like 7 worlds. 7 difficulties. So of course Americans not going to actually suffer, no matter what the president does, no matter how much the prices of goods rise. Like, nothing can possibly happen in America to make people suffer. You can only pretend to be suffering in America. Pretend. In Europe, very similarly, pretend. Now I'm suffering, though, from noise. That shit, I can't pretend anymore. Now I'm under a threat. I could have pretended that, oh my god, COVID everywhere. Ooh, woo, right? I could have pretended that Russians are gonna attack and I should be scared peeing my pants. And inflation is eating me alive or some bullshit like that. I could have pretended. But that was not a problem. The real problem is now noise. Now it's hitting me. Now it's hitting Europe as a whole. And it's gonna progress into this like vortex bullshit of God knows what that means. In the end. God knows where that trend is gonna fucking settle. Because the problem is gonna just kind of keep on stacking, but the moment we resist the problem, it's not gonna get worse. At least. Even not getting a job is not gonna make you suffer unless you hold on to expensive things. Unless you don't know how to let go. In the apocalypse, the way Americans will suffer is if they don't let go of all the nice things, just for the time being. That's what's gonna make you suffer right now. It's not the story that you have in your head. It's the hanging on to nice things. You shouldn't, right now. You shouldn't hang on to all these nice things. You should be very careful, realizing that apocalypse, right? Like, it's emergency. You should be very careful of how you do things right now. Fight your enemies if you have them. But overall, the best way to fight your enemies? All people are trying to pretend that the way of life is not changing even though it's changing. And it's confusing as hell. No NPC has the solution even though NPCs are the ones being so active right now. So in the end, all of this confusion turns into apocalyptic destruction. Which is a positive thing for people who just step aside and let the world destroy itself. And then we're gonna be like, I told you so. Just acknowledge that it fluctuates technically, right? And there are better opportunities to hurt your enemies. So the best thing to do is improve yourself all the time. Is the best thing to do every time. The enemy will throw an opportunity and you will be able to take it with more courage, basically, if you have improved yourself significantly. Otherwise, the fear is going to block. Even having an enemy is a positive thing. Positivity happens because of clarity. If you care about positive things, if you really care to extract positivity out of whatever is going on, that requires clarity, to clarify what is positive about that specific situation. Why is it positive to have enemies? Well, you learn that principle. You learn that clarity of how this translates. What is the positive aspects of having an enemy? What are the negative aspects of having an enemy? And can you afford it? Is the question. Stop. Stop. Okay, I do have an enemy right now. When you are in trouble, it's best to improve yourself. Because you can break through other aspects as well. I mean, technically, researching soundproofing is important. You can help other people with that. An enemy forced me to research about soundproofing against noise. There's usually two solutions, right? Either you block your senses or you run away. I mean, those two solutions are not good. They're very ugly. And if NPCs end up doing those two solutions only and they have nothing else to do, I mean, God help your soul, because it's not easy solutions and don't even work that well. Theme is going to improve, and potentially by discovering that, you can be thankful to. So if I do soundproofing correctly, I will be able to block off the shit around me, right? I'm trying to bar windows, and I'm realizing that my room is not going to get hotter because less sunlight will come into my room. That's good. Even though my room is actually 20% hotter than the other rooms. I want to double check. I can always feel that. Yeah, it's ass. All I'm saying is I'm scared of the summer to come. Because again, the drama that I'm fighting against, the noise, that shit is never ending. Right? Just still fighting that. Your enemy, in a way of like, wow, you challenge me to do this and that, right? They will challenge you. Enemies will challenge you to do something special in order to be able to challenge them back and remove their bad behavior. It's almost like they say, I do it because I can. You know, maybe they're not wrong. But maybe they can't do it without consequences, without being challenged back. It all depends on you sometimes. Even fake give up moment can work in your favor as long as you turn around and not give up. I don't think giving up ever is a good idea. I think you should hold your ground until something breaks and, you have to test what's going to happen if you do give up. How bad is it? Because, like, you can't handle it anymore. There are situations when you run out of positivity. Well, you let things break sometimes. You run out of ability to defend yourself, and you gotta give up something. Let's say the scenario of running out of positivity is there's too many enemies from too many. You let things break because you're gonna come back swinging. Who cares, right? You lose a little bit of land, you take back that land eventually. It's all has to be strategic. Where you give something to the enemy for them to be happy about, but then you strike back that much harder next time. And now it is kind of warranting you to give up, right? It's pushing you into a solution of like, yeah, the best thing to do is just go away, you know? Escape, run away, maybe even panic, maybe even break some rules for the sake of like, what the fucking shit is going on here? Maybe you have to wait for shit to get even worse, for things to make sense when you try to like escape and run away, so people understand. What are you doing? Another positive thing to focus on is you have time. You often have time to think and find a better solution versus already existing ones, right? You have to constantly improve. Most people, they're not going to bother. Whenever they're going to be called by a vortex, they're going to get sucked into it. They run out of positivity, get sucked into a vortex. Again, it's vortex here. And the same thing applies. Positivity is a resource of you to hold on to things that you care about, that you feel positive about. And if you can't hang on to them, you will get sucked into a vortex. Finally, vortex will actually defeat you in a way. Vortex is not necessarily negative. It is a significant choice in your life, however. So significant that if you make a choice too early, and you make a shitty choice, low quality choice, your life is going to get that low quality resolution of that choice. You're going to get low quality rewards. Now, already, 3 months have passed. You could have already made plenty of interesting choices. Anytime people make a choice, like OnlyFans, that shit gets debunked the next day, right? Or like rug pull happens, and oh, oops, right? Thank God you didn't invest into. You're always being warned to not make shitty choices. This is one of the ways to avoid the vortex here downfalls. There's enough positivity floating around, enough people doing research on things. You don't even have to do it yourself. Before you make a decision, you have to do just a little bit of research of what would happen, how happy are people, and how much they earn. Just need to do a little bit of research to find out that you're better fucking working minimum wage job and not worrying about money whatsoever. At least that's what I've learned. Crypto, right? Debunked was and a lot of things. I mean, it doesn't really discourage people from doing this. It just creates this vortex effect of like people are actually in OnlyFans, they're doing that thing, and they're not being necessarily successful. They potentially ruin their careers, and something else is brewing at the same time. Just by having a lot of vortexes are in fact scams. Only 1% of people get to be winners, and everyone else get to be a loser. Perspective on something you can open up, but like a job is not necessarily where you're gonna lose. Like you need money, and once you have it, you can do your thing, right? Once you have free time, you can do your thing. Because right now, there's plenty of technology to just. The reason why people are isolated because now you can just play games on your own. You can educate yourself on your own. You can improve yourself on your own. You don't need help. In a way, you just need to submit yourself to a money-making method and move on with your life and make sure that you're not spending too much money, because holy shit, is that gonna drain your pockets to a zero so quickly. You gotta run away from that. From all the rents, from all the taxations. You gotta fucking really heavily figure this system out. There's a lot of time you can spend, like, you have to dedicate kind of time on just like learning of how capitalism operates and how it drains your bank account or your time, because you can turn time into that, but it could be suffering that's involved. That it would feel like slavery to just sell yourself. It's weird. There's so many pitfalls in life. To remain positive, you have to do the right decisions. And again, it's a streak of you having time and you spending that time making sure that you will be doing the right decision, that you're not going to regret it. Great opportunity that would change your life as a vortex, right? Maybe there's opportunity in OnlyFans for anyone. You just have to really find it. It's time for me to make OnlyFans, guys. In other words, when a topic is discussed, there's also a downside being discussed. You just acknowledge both of these things. If you're cold hard to know, I mean, or just laugh at people who do that stuff, you are actually destroying yourself a lot of options to hold on to something positive from happening, right? Maybe there's going to be a very good vortex of, I want to be destroyed by vortex because my life is not very good. I'm surrounded by enemies. Like anyone who is surrounded by enemies wants to get sucked in, like Ariana Grande wants to get sucked in with the alien mothership, right? That is a vortex simulation, which is kind of funny. And also it's a glitch when I saw it because I like the song. I want to escape. She was surrounded by like ruins. And now is super duper judged by everyone. Do I really have more positivity than they do? And how much? Because I could skip a few steps, you know? I might not need to go to greater English-speaking countries or whatever, in Germany or UK. I don't want to isolate myself too much, because I could be helpful, right? I can hold conversations. Not sure what is going to be tested of me, but it is interesting to put together a coherent story of what's going on, right? To collect clues that empower you to understand. And that article just now, I'm like, wait, if she's simulating a vortex, I will believe it. And it's literally the vortex that I would need. Aliens to just take me away from a place surrounded by enemies, bro. If you seek positivity, you might find interesting messages like just like now. Wait, Ari sent a message of a vortex of getting sucked into an alien mothership where she was playing my favorite song? Wow. It is a message. And I received it. Isn't that positive? I appreciate it. And you can spend time also appreciating things that are positive. You can spend a little bit more time just sitting on it and enjoying yourself with the positivity you found. That's how powerful it is. You can extend your happiness using positivity. And a lot of other people should feel the same way. The opportunities, well, keep getting better in a way. Now, by using a vortex to go to America, I would just relive apocalypse, which is kind of nasty. But if I can relive apocalypse with someone close to me that I admire, then I would be helping them, and it would turn into like the most positive experience ever. It wouldn't be so bad. I wouldn't have to struggle all by myself, right? Positive hopes and dreams. That's what it's not. You can easily be robbed if you have hopes and dreams. You gotta be very careful in life. This is why potentially Ari always looks back into the past, and that's what keeps her positive, right? That's why it's so easy for a passive person to be positive by looking into the past. Because into the past, you just look and seek positivity. Things already happened, and you just need to know why they happened and why it is a positive influence to the world. You don't have to look into the future. Future could look pretty bleak if you don't know. If you don't have big brain and can't accurately predict the future because you start building expectations and you fail. I can do it though. I can look into the future and see positivity. I cannot look into the past and see much positivity. I almost have to sacrifice the past of my life. And I don't like the past. I like the progress and the technology and all that shit, right? So I'm a different person than Ari is. There are infinites of hopes and dreams, and will make you go insane. Of wow, I will win a lottery. That's a hope and dream. You can be robbed. Anytime you have hopes and dreams, you can be robbed if you actually act upon it. Hopes and dreams stay hopes and dreams. Stay actionless. I think I found something with positivity. I might try something interesting and talk about it later. You don't take action, you don't invest into it. You work towards it. That's all you can do. You cannot grow it. You can just acknowledge that, well, it would be nice if this happened, it would be nice if this happened. You collect that shit and move on to live real world with real things happening, right? Hope and dream would be just gravity is gonna not work for 5 seconds whenever you feel like it. You're gonna get some kind of superpower. Like, it's crazy. So you can just jump off the roof and nothing will happen. Hopes and dreams. Like, it's literally reality destroying principle. Despite being positive, funny enough, you must hope and dream that things are going to be generally good, that you're generally going to be improving, right? The more vague your hopes and dreams are, the more you're going to be able to just get the positivity out of it and continue focusing. When I'm predicting the future, I'm not hoping and dreaming. I'm seeing a general trend emerge on how to make those dreams come true. You know, you will be able to work on that instead of being distracted, hoping that you are right and someone else is wrong, that you are a winner. A lot of people do that, all right? It put me in a very tough situation by doing that. Hopes and dreams can lead to paralysis because things can flop. Things might not work out. And I actually get obliterated by this thing. Maybe a lot of people do, because it's capitalism. It's natural to be sometimes mesmerized by hopes and dreams of things could possibly happen to me. But these stuff don't happen. Why is it happen? Why? And you suffer because of that. Don't build a sandcastle knowing that someone can just easily destroy it. And very likely it will. It will happen. Or are you just going to live in fear that someone will destroy your sandcastle? How pretty it is and how meaningful it is, and it can be easily destroyed. That's what hopes and dreams are. This is why I say you're going to get robbed. It's not positive to create something very fragile. It is positive to commit to work towards something, right? Because that's the opposite of giving up. And if you track everyday progress, and every day seems to be positive, right? You find progress, you achieve progress, you do something every day. That's what leads to success, obviously. You have confirmation to yourself that you're doing fine, confirmation to everyone else that you're doing fine. And how often can you be doing fine? You kind of establish that you perhaps can, in fact, get everyday progress and flex, like I can do that. I don't know, every time I feel special, people get locked in when it comes to capitalism. They get locked in, they get sucked into a vortex before it even happens. Before this whole situationship with the vortex here happens. When opportunities start piling up. Like, the AI can actually start opening opportunities. More people talk about opportunities more. They become louder than ever before, right? Right now, the vortex here is offering protesting, being really mad at the government, as it often does, offer that. But there's going to be way better things than just meeting other people who are also mad at the government, right? The opportunity will keep on increasing level. And I actually want to talk about vortex here as a retrospect of just 3 months past. Just like TikTok ban was one of the months, and now protest month is happening during March, because who would have thought, right? It's March. If I can even define months of a vortex month, I mean, that would be nice. I guess at February, people were very heavily discussing leaving their country, right? Just seeing opportunities other places. Even though it sounds like nothing, not too specific at all. Which place is the good place, you know? Nobody can actually determine that. Where's that lucky place to go? We gotta be careful with the shit until it's determined where to go exactly and when. Then we'll know, because we're collectively gonna do that. We don't want to go to a place where we can get isolated into a culture we don't like or some bullshit like that. It is important to open your mind that you can go to a place, a special place where all the problems are alleviated, because people understand of all the struggles you could be going through. I mean, technically, women are full of positivity. As long as you keep your distance. Because the women who are close to me, like, they're not going to be positive. They're gonna be shit. I'm surrounded by enemies after all. Who would want to save me as a woman? Like, what the fuck? It's possible. It's always possible. It's very unlikely. But they're genuinely a positive influence with a negative tone of like, it's not potentially very useful positive influence. Men could be an actually useful positive influence with the negative aspect. So I'm explaining the dynamic of women and men. Women are often not useful. They are a positive influence as a whole, as like a radiator of energy, but it's not really useful. Like a tool that men could create. But tools have a specific use, so it's also not very useful if you fall outside of the need. Right? That is the dynamic of women and men, as we know of. It's too specific, so it might not apply to you and might cram your brain. Gotta be careful, right? There's positive and negative things everywhere. So positivity is more clarity and avoiding the negative, because it's always attached to the positive. There's always good and bad consequences happening at the same time. So if you can avoid the negative, lean towards the positive, get the positive things instead of negative, well, you're gonna be better off. I actually have a game, right? Like a Pokemon. We can't imagine that a score of 500 has to be achieved. Well, I tend to make cards like the better card design is where a card has positive effect and negative effect. Because it's very interesting to deny the negative effect and amplify the positive. It becomes like a puzzle piece. So that's pretty much all you need to know from that. Of influence in your inventory, because it's just not good enough. And it's I'm not safe to analyze the situation. So it's a very good thing to be aware of what is the positive and negative of men, women, and all that stuff, and how to behave. So you can imagine that the world is full of puzzle pieces, and you just have to find a positive way to put them together. If you can create an image of a devil or an image of an angel, and potentially out of the same pieces, get more of the positive and less of the negative. How to react, how to stereotype these things. Because we can put stereotype on Asians, on black people. Unfortunately, that shit's not gonna die, no matter how much people want to kill it. Because in capitalism, people want to kill things for profit all the time. Hopes and dreams will also block your ability to be honest. Honesty is important. Because honesty ends up being positive most of the time. It's best to clean your mind of all the fears of I can't say this, I can't do that. You can't say things to enemies, to people you don't trust. But if you can't trust someone, it's nice to be honest. You know, it's nice to use that trust to build a relationship. No matter what bad thing you did, the partner should understand, should be able to comprehend that you're trying to be honest, not trying to be deceptive, because that would be a lot worse. So other people also have to appreciate positivity. And if they don't, I mean, they have problems. That's the biggest red flag. It's the biggest indicator of everything. How positivity is being treated. How positive are conversations. I use that all the time. I really hate when people do weird things, cringe things, when they do cringe things when making art. That can get worse and worse and worse. And honesty pulls you out of this, because you're at least doing something positive, which is talking about the negative. You're trying actually to stop it from happening again by giving it awareness of like, this happened, guys. This happened. This is possible. This is happening. You keep pushing awareness, who knows? Now you can have hopes and dreams that the universe will glitch when you're being honest, that something good will happen. Even if you are saying negative things, because that's what honesty is usually about. It starts with negativity. I mean, that's what the news are about. Negative thing happened over here and over there. But you have to understand for what it truly is hopefully someone being honest, right? And then warning you and others about something. Now, with the negative news has to come good advice as well, hopefully, right? There's a capacity for that, which is why only leaders should be handling shit like this, not just random media. You might have heard, because this is floating around a lot, but it never hit me as hard as right now. But there is a reason to avoid negative news, right? Because your world, like my world, is completely different than what everyone else is yapping about. Like, I'm suffering from a very different thing. However, I do try to relate. And if you are suffering from, I mean, negative view news is often I feel crippled. I feel like I can't do something because so many rules, so many regulations are put in place, and you have to go into like a personal protest. And people are protesting. Not having children is a protest. It's a very vivid thing. Loss of morality because of capitalism forcing people to work so hard and compete against each other and be bitter against each other. It's so weird, man. From something like, of course, consuming negative news is gonna give you more clarity of what is going on overall, and can you relate to that situation. If you live a normal life that nothing bad is happening, you probably don't need to consume negative news. It's not really gonna help you live a better life knowing that. But you should still do that. I mean, it is something to do, consuming negative news. You just need to know whether you can handle it or not in a rational way. Understand the scope of things, or if it doesn't actually shouldn't bother you at all, right? A lot of negative news spread because they are really bad. People really don't agree with it, and catching that would empower you potentially somehow. Someone got murdered over there or over there, but overall, it actually doesn't matter. I don't think it matters. I think you can consume all the news as long as you have critical thinking skills. Whether you're stressed or not stressed, doesn't matter. If you're not stressed, then you have the capacity to acknowledge that, yeah, this might be a problem. Interesting. But it is dangerous, of course. If you're not critically thinking, like, there's some things that should not be recommended to you. Negative news is, you would stay away because it's not positive. You don't understand whether people are being honest or not. Or they're just saying the things, just because they have to. It's their job. You wouldn't be able to decipher that difference. It is definitely not fun to be worrying about way too many things as possibilities. It is, however, nice to worry beforehand. So it's so much more relaxing when you do, in fact, settle down successfully and nothing bad happens. But you expect the worst so it doesn't happen. So you can start relaxing. I'll end you with this, right? Do ghosts exist? The most funniest H3H3 thing to ask for, because usually ghost is just fear. Fear, like, ghosts usually don't exist. It's just a manifestation of our fears. And why would you need that? It's a fake story. It's manufactured in a way. Like, yeah, of course, we should believe in spirits, though. Dreams, dead people, in the afterlife, in the holy, that you're still connected to dead people. We can still believe in that if you find value in it. Like, I'm connected to Susan Wojcicki, the YouTube CEO. Rest in pieces. I'm way better than you, for I am alive. Communicating or whatever, if they're still relevant. When it comes to ghosts, man, and aliens and all this weird shit, damn, that's too much negativity. That's too much out of control research, which also includes the conspiracy theorists who really hate the government. Hmm. But the reason why I mentioned ghosts is that if you lived your life without encountering a ghost for a very long time, why would you be afraid of a ghost, right? Why would you expect one, right? It's very difficult to expect and believe in something negative when it doesn't happen for a very, very long time. The longer something does not happen, the further you are away. It's like stress, right? It's the same thing. Negativity, stress. You just have to build distance away from it and make sure that nothing bad happens for a very long time. And appreciate every day when something bad did not happen. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this helps. That's why I do these videos. I'm positively charged to do that. I feel that every time I make this, it helps me. I don't have confirmation that it helps anyone else, but it always helps me. Something positive always happens. These videos, like, they're not on high demand, they're not being clicked on and all that shit. But maybe just because I didn't get a chance to be discovered. Who knows? I'm sure things will find their place eventually. Positively, you play with games. Negatively, you play People haven't put any attention to what I'm doing, and they are actively kind of rejecting everything that I'm doing, which is like so annoying. When you recognize that, like, how disconnected we are as people. Even though any time I make a video, it could start a conversation with anyone. It does not do that. Often things just don't make sense right now. Effort should lead into something great. Maybe people think that I'm just getting random amount of money anytime I release a video. I don't know, man. Maybe they think I'm selfish. Maybe they think I don't have time. Privacy makes people think very weird things. I'm not gonna lie. But at least if you attach yourself to thinking positively, you shouldn't fall apart that quickly, you know? And then you might end up way better than you expected out the other end of this social experiment, of this torture. They with real guns, real wars, hoping for the best, hoping and dreaming for the best, hoping to survive even though now you're risking your life. Which life would you like? You know? You get to choose every time. And perhaps that's a very interesting perspective of just like treating life as a game, of like attempting to do better every single time will distract you away from the evils, or turn evils into a challenge to be defeated. And in a game you want to win really badly, because you know the rewards are pretty fucking good. Thank you for watching.